bathrooms just over here. Ladies only. No smoking, no pets.
Hey, Santiago, how are you doing? Thanks very much for speaking to me, first of all.
Of course, it's a pleasure.
And second of all, congratulations on the movie. I loved it. Loved it to bits. Really good. Really enjoyed it.
Thank you. That's very nice of you. Thank you so much.
I mean, I hadn't actually read the original novel, but I mean, from what I've read about the novel, it does divert quite a bit. It's not I mean, it obviously keeps some of those central pivotal themes now, but it does change quite a few things. Was there anything specifically about those changes? I mean, were you actually aware of the novel itself? Had you read the novel itself before you read the script? And what was it about the actual script's themes that attracted you to it?
Well, when I started with this project, I read the script first, and then I found the novel afterwards. Right. I think there were significant changes in terms of how the story was focused on the first half of the book, as opposed to the entire story of the novel. So that was one of the biggest changes from the script. But also there was a few other elements that in the end were some of the things that attracted me to it in the first place, given the fact that in the case of the script and what the film is now, a big portion of the story is about this immigrant experience coming in to the United States and essentially trying to assimilate and find, a character trying to find herself. And in the novel, it's slightly different than that. But I found that section of the script something that I could connect with, and I found very interesting, and immediately sort of knew that I wanted to explore that in the film.
That's something I was going to ask you, because obviously with a name like Santiago, I presume you're not originally from Quebec, no?
No, I'm originally born in Brazil from Argentinian parents. So I'm an Argentinian, Brazilian, Canadian. It's a bit of a mix, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, once you got on board, you must have brought quite a few things to the table, actually, from your own experiences, I imagine, no?
Yeah, I think that obviously the character undergoes something quite extreme, but I think the idea of sort of becoming, like I said earlier, assimilating and sort of learning how to find your identity again, because I find whenever, at least in my experience, and I think it's shared in the film, whenever you kind of take that step to go somewhere completely new and in a completely new environment, it is something that you're essentially telling yourself that you're going to change to, in a way. It's subtle, but you sort of have to adapt to your environment. And unfortunately for our character's case, for Amber, it's the worst possible place to do it, where obviously everything goes terribly wrong. But nonetheless, that experience and that feeling is something that I definitely connected with.
I'm curious, how did you react to the novel after having read the screenplay? Because the novel set in Birmingham, and I mean specifically Red's character, for example, the dialogue. I've not read it, but I've read snippets of it, and the dialogue is just. I mean, even for me, I'm not far from Birmingham. My sister lives in Birmingham, so it was difficult for me to understand what he was talking about.
Well, what I took, I mean, immediately I was like, I need to speak with Adam Nevill and just see how what his thoughts are on it. And as soon as I started reading the book a little bit further and digging into it, a lot of the central themes and the core ideas and the core center of like the structure of what happens in the story remains for the most part very much the same. And it was hitting on those core themes and those core ideas that I knew that we were very much telling the same story. It just happened to be in a different location, and obviously a character with a different background that we developed into the story of Amber. But it was something that at first I was surprised by the change, but then immediately understood that actually it still was quite true to the story of essentially a character who finds themselves in a place that they don't belong and they're being taken advantage of. So that core idea stayed. And obviously, once I got a chance to talk to Adam, I also found out that not only that, he was very supportive of these changes, and anything was extremely encouraging about them.
I mean, how hands-on was he? Because I know he's an executive producer on the film. So how was he? Well, not only in the writing stage, but also once kind of filming got underway.
Given the nature of the film, I knew immediately I wanted to have a chance to have essentially his point of view as soon as possible. So one of the things that I was very fortunate in doing is having a chance to talk to him a few instances before and during production. And through that process, essentially found out, the key ideas that really stuck for both him and myself. And there were some ideas that I really gravitated to in the book that I explained to him and elaborated on that he loved. So in that regard, it was a bit collaborative, but there was also he was a well of knowledge, basically. Just essentially any time that I was sort of uncertain of a certain idea, I could always go to him and ask, and he always provided some fascinating insight. So
I'm curious what kind of conversations went down with him, because I've read interviews that he's done when he's released his books, And when it comes to films, horror films, he's very, very specific, very picky, and there's a lot of films he really does not like. I imagine you talked through quite a few of those things with him.
We talked to quite a few things, but I think in the end he actually was one of the things that I noticed at first, because I was a lot of the times asking him for ideas and thoughts and his take on things, just to really know. I mean, for me, what was very important was making sure the tone lined up just right for the film. And that was a huge portion of my interest in making sure that I was very faithful to that style that he, creates so well. And from that experience, I kind of found the things that we both liked and both connected with. And I think that was a lot of our, a focus of our conversation. He was quite supportive of the entire process. So he was never, objecting in anything that we were doing necessarily. It was always very supportive, and anything extremely encouraging whenever we would present something like, well, this is what we're going to do. And he was, fantastic about that.
And what about the actual casting process? I mean, that must have been very important, because obviously we're focusing on immigration, but also kind of Red's character of what he gives to kind of this whole theme of immigration and welcoming someone into this house. And that must have been really important, not just for you, but for the writer of the novel as well. Now, I mean, did you both get together for that, or did you specifically cast and then go to see what the rest of the team thought of your ideas?
Yeah, so sorry. So essentially, we started casting quite. We kind of looked first for our Amber. It was quite important to really nail down who that character was going to be. And once we found Christina, for me, it was just like, okay, great. Like, this is someone who knows how to be. Like, she had a side to her from the previous work. She could be tough, and she could be someone that you could really, rely on when it comes to, like, the belief that this character has, that will in her to do something, and at the same time also that vulnerability of, someone you can really believe that is going through the struggle and you can connect with. And once I saw that in her, I was like, we were safe, we were good. And that was just a huge blessing to find her. And then for Mark, I was really looking for someone who, in the end, I was quite a, open description for who this character could be. But when when we found out that Mark was available for the film, and not only that, he was just like kind of the perfect fit. He had that charm and charisma, that unassuming nature at first, and there was a kind yet a little bit of a subtle feeling of uncertainty about him, and I just love that. And on camera, he just also brings a presence that's really
that's fantastic. I mean, you can't help it. There's very few films of this style that you feel these moments of empathy towards this guy, just in the kind of the looks that he gives when certain things go down. He's just perfect. Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. Thank you.
And also, I want to speak a little bit without giving too much away. Obviously, a lot of the people who were involved in the ritual were involved in this one, and you can certainly tell that towards the end. I don't want to give any explanation why. How much were you involved in the actual kind of the special effects towards the end? Because I know that in your short films, specifically Milk, I think it was, you have done some of your own kind of special effects. How involved were you, and how much was that down on paper, the actual kind of design of the effects that we see later on?
Well, I have a visual effects background, so I was quite involved in terms of how it all came together. And I wasn't necessarily the one executing them. I just want to make that clear. It was amazing work by Unit, our VFX company. Yeah. But what ended up happening was there was a certain idea of what it could be. And in the book, it was very loose and open. And I had a great fun with our designer, Keith Thompson, to essentially come together on something that was truly special and something unique that only, only a mind like that could come up with. So that was a great joy to make, and I can't wait for people to see it.
And something else I mustn't not talk about is the another character is the house itself. Was that whole house something that you found, or were the imagine the interiors with maybe stage?
It was, I got to say, amazing work by Chris Richmond, our production designer. It is lovely set and stage. And also the execution of our cinematographer, Stephen Murphy, for lighting it to make it feel so organic and real. It was just some amazing work by everyone just building the house. And the beauty of that is that we can really design our set pieces around the environment we have, since we have more control. So it was a deliberate choice, and I'm thrilled with the house. And I hope that people really get to feel that place as a true unnerving place to be.
No, it really does. Yeah, it's very different, but it reminds me kind of the Amityville Horror, those kind of
Awesome.
Creepy Place is fantastic, yeah. And someone that I also, something else that I can't not mention is the music. Obviously, you've worked with Mark Coven before, but he's just fantastic. He's one of my favorites. I mean, even his instruments, he comes up with his own instruments now, so it must be a fantasy to be able to work with Mark, no?
It was a blessing when I got to work with him on a short film, which I just couldn't believe my luck. And then from that, I immediately knew like he was top choice, and he just he's a wizard. He's just, as soon as you kind of present him a couple of ideas and your intentions, and he comes up with something that is original and unique. And, I was floored every time. It was almost, it was too much he provided so much that I was almost overwhelmed with it, because it was just such a spoil for me. I love his work, so for me it was like, as a fan, to be able to work with him was fantastic.
But is Mark very much? Does he go off and work on his own, or does he kind of prefer you to be with him all the way through, if possible?
Well, luckily for us, we had a little bit of a trial run on my shorts, so I had an idea of how we like to work, and I knew that was actually a huge benefit, because I got a little bit of an experience of what that was like. And in our case, we kind of worked out a method where I was very clear on like the ideas behind and the story behind, the emotion behind a certain scene, and I never, matter of choice, but I never was specific on like sharing any temp music or anything like that. I wanted to really feel between him and I, like, this is what we're going for. Let's connect to this, theoretical idea, and now let's find the emotion that fits it. And he can work wonders with just, simple description, and he can really, provide that feeling in music, which is, it's just such an ability that is just amazing. So he made my life very easy. Let's put it that way.
No, he's fantastic. I'm just not that long ago, he came over here to Spain. He was on live television. And he just came out and played music with this.
It's just so cool.
Now he's got his own instrument. He's got, it's amazing. It's just, what?
I agree. It's awesome.
Anyway, just to finish up, we're out of time. Obviously, this is coming out soon. I can't wait for people to see it. Have you got anything else on the cards that you can share, or that you would like to get off the ground anytime soon that you can tell us about?
There's, right now, the immediate that I definitely hope to hopefully get off the ground soon would be the adaptation of one of my shorts that I previously was working on, which is Milk.
All right, yeah, I read about that. Yeah, one of them, was it Warner was working on the?
Yes, that's right. It was New Line that has it right now. So the idea is to have something to hopefully you guys will see that soon. So yeah.
And that's something that you will be directing.
That's the idea. Yeah.
That's the plan, no? Brilliant. That's brilliant. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
I hope the film goes down really well. I'm pretty sure it will do. And I hope to speak to you again sometime soon.
Thank you so much.
All right, Santiago, take care. All the very best.